The story opens inside a slaughterhouse, where a young boy is watching the killing far too closely. Everyone around him is doing a job. He is enjoying it. Before he leaves, he slips a severed head into his pocket and takes it home, where he adds it to a secret collection of jars packed with animals, some dead, some still moving. His father finds the jars and beats him savagely. The beatings continue year after year, and year after year, the boy reacts less until he stops reacting at all. Then one day he strangles his father with a clothesline, buries the body in the backyard, and walks away smiling. Years later, that boy's past would become the key to a much larger investigation. This is forensic. Years later, a girl named Kirti brings her little sister Divya to her dance class. Afterwards, her friends push her to go ask a boy she likes for his number, and those few minutes are all it takes. While her back is turned, a stranger crouches beside Divya, offers her a peacock feather, and leads her away. When Kirti turns around, her sister is gone. The family goes to the police, and Senior Officer Rithika knows exactly what kind of case just landed on her desk. She orders a full search and tells her team that in a missing child case, the first 48 hours decide everything. Days later, boys playing football near a dumpster find a body, and Rithika confirms it is Divya. The case explodes across the news, partly because Divya is the niece of a well-known local businessman. Rithika briefs her superior on the postmortem. One stab wound from a kitchen knife. She also flags a 5-year-old girl killed the same way in a nearby town not long ago. Same weapon, same method, same kind of victim, and she believes one person did both. Her superior tells her to keep the theory quiet and assigns a forensic expert named Samuel to the case. Rithika is not happy about it, and her reasons are personal. We meet Samuel lounging in an interrogation room while a junior officer questions a senior police officer accused of murdering his wife. The man keeps blaming an unknown robber, and despite his wife's domestic abuse complaints, the police have nothing solid. Then Samuel steps in with one detail nobody caught. The man wears a pacemaker, and a pacemaker keeps a continuous record of the wearer's heartbeat. All anyone has to do is pull the data from the night of the murder and see what his heart was doing while his wife died. The man falls apart and confesses. Samuel cracks it in minutes, then learns his next assignment, Divya's murder under Officer Rithika. He is not thrilled either. He announces it at home in the middle of his brother Xavier's cooking vlog, and Xavier is proud until he hears whose team it is. Because Xavier and Rithika were married once, and now they live apart. The next day, while Rithika's team questions locals, Samuel stays at the lab examining Divya's clothes. He turns up at the dance class late with his reports, and Rithika tears into him in front of everyone and gives him a final warning. Then he starts talking, and the room goes quiet. Marks on Divya's dress match a set of metal grills, and those grills lead the team to a narrow path behind the school. Traces of moss and sewage water prove she walked that stretch herself, and the splash pattern tells him how. Calm and steady, not struggling, not dragged, she went willingly with someone she knew and trusted. That one reading moves the case further in an afternoon than anything else has. Rithika should be pleased. Instead, she can barely hide her resentment. She assigns a forensic intern named Shika to assist him, then quietly tells Shika to watch him and report everything he does. Samuel overhears the call, so now he knows exactly where he stands. He and Shika visit a psychologist, Dr. Alphonse, to collect Kirti's psychological assessment, which clears her. While there, they run into Rithika's daughter Nayana, who is also one of the doctor's patients. Then the killer moves again. A girl named Devika vanishes from a water park, and Rithika calls an emergency meeting. Afterwards, Samuel spots something in a crime scene photo. Divya's body was lying outside a compost pit 5 feet tall. If the killer had been strong enough to lift her, he would have dropped her inside and hidden her properly. He did not. And the same person led Divya through a sewage pipe barely 4 feet high. Put those two facts together, and Samuel lands somewhere nobody wants to go. He believes the killer is a boy, 13 or 14 years old. Rithika tells him to leave investigating to investigators. He cites real cases of teenagers who became serial killers, and she shuts him down, reminding him in front of everyone that he is a lab expert in a room full of senior officers. Once she leaves, Shika asks what the problem between them actually is. Samuel explains that his brother Xavier was married to Rithika, and they lost their younger child in a tragedy. Each blamed the other, the blame destroyed the marriage, and 6 years later, they divorced and stopped speaking. Around this time, Samuel runs a DNA test as a favor for a retired officer named Abdul Wahab. It comes back negative, and only then does Abdul explain why he asked. 10 years ago in Burma colony, a serial killer murdered 4 children. It was Rithika's first investigation. Police arrested a school bus driver named Ubaid after an unconscious girl was found in his bus, and everyone thought it was over. A month later, another child died the same way. They had taken the wrong man. Outside, Samuel finds Ubaid himself waiting by the car because Abdul hired him as his driver after his release to make up for what the police did to him. The DNA test was Abdul checking whether the Burma colony killer had come back for Divya. Then Rithika gets a break. An eyewitness saw a young boy dumping Divya's body near the compost pit. The police work up a sketch, and when it is finished, the room goes cold. It is the face of a 12-year-old boy, and something in it is deeply wrong. They release it to the media, and afterwards, Rithika does something that clearly costs her. She thanks Samuel and admits his theory is what pushed the case forward. Then Dr. Alphonse calls her in because he recognizes the face. A boy named Reuben was recently sent to him from a juvenile home for counseling and has since gone missing. One look at the photograph, and Rithika knows he is the boy in the sketch. Alphonse sends her to his colleague, Dr. Menon, who knows Reuben better. Years earlier, Reuben was brought to Menon for rehabilitation after murdering 2 friends at 6 years old. He lived with the Menon family and improved remarkably until one day he had a strange seizure, grabbed a knife, attacked Dr. Menon, and fled. Nobody has seen him since. Rithika is now certain. Reuben is her killer. Soon, another girl disappears. Malavika is taken from a hospital. In the few minutes her mother steps away to visit the ICU. Police seal the area and recover a chocolate wrapper from a bin, the same chocolate Malavika bought right before she vanished, and the shopkeeper says he saw her with Reuben. It looks airtight. Then Samuel arrives and says the wrapper was planted. Nobody takes him seriously until he points out where it was sitting, right on top of the trash. The sweeper cleaned that area after Malavika was taken, so the wrapper landed there afterwards, left by someone who came back specifically to put it there. He runs it in the lab, and the result stops him cold. The DNA on that wrapper does not belong to Malavika, and it does not belong to Reuben. There is a third person involved, someone using Reuben as cover to stay invisible, and the story shows us who. Reuben carries Malavika through a forest and leaves her inside an abandoned bus, then steps out empty-handed and waits, fidgeting, like a boy hoping he did it right. A moment later, someone else walks out carrying the body. It is Nayana, Rithika's own daughter, and her face is completely empty. The public turns on the police for failing to stop the killer. Samuel calls Rithika about the third person running things from the shadows, and she refuses to hear it, ordering him to focus on Reuben. He storms out. Then Shika calls him back, because she has found something. Meanwhile, Rithika takes Nayana to a friend's house, where Nayana drifts toward the friend's little daughter, with something awful behind her eyes, and only her mother's voice snaps her out of it. What Shika and Abdul found is this. The DNA from the Burma colony case matches the DNA on the chocolate wrapper. The killer from 10 years ago never stopped. Abdul also turns up an old reservoir tied to those original murders, and Samuel scans the site with ground-penetrating radar. Buried beneath it are the remains of every girl who vanished a decade earlier and was never found. Elsewhere, Reuben is near a church when another seizure hits him. Nayana is watching from a distance, because the pain is not medical at all. She is causing it with a device. Back at the station, Samuel takes a new angle. If the real killer was inside that hospital the day Malavika vanished, the killer's DNA is somewhere on the visitor list. He convinces Abdul and Dr. Alphonse to help him collect samples from everyone present, disguising the whole thing as a free blood test campaign. And to keep suspicion off it, he insists that he, Shika, and both doctors give samples too. They run every sample against the wrapper, not a single match. Then police find Reuben hiding in a church and arrest him. In the interrogation room, he confesses to every murder without flinching and says the devil speaks to him and orders him to kill children. Everyone writes him off as a psychopath, and Rithika walks out feeling like she has won. Samuel does not buy it. Reviewing the footage with Shika, he finds the answer. Someone has been transmitting instructions to Reuben through his hearing aid, running him like a puppet from a distance. He is right, and too late. Inside the juvenile facility, the voice comes through one final time and orders Reuben to kill himself. Samuel and Shika race there, and by the time they arrive, it is done. The next day, an internal inquiry opens into the team's handling of the case. Samuel sends Sheikah to pull CCTV footage from around the facility, betting the real killer was nearby when Reuben died. Nyana arrives at the station, and Samuel convinces Rithika to let him take his niece to the family house until the inquiry ends. There she is reunited with her father Xavier, and after she goes to bed, Xavier tells Samuel he wants to build as many memories with her as he can, because he never got the chance before. Then Sheikah calls. An old blue Civic was parked outside Reuben's cell minutes before his death, though neither the plate nor the driver could be identified. While Samuel is listening, he notices a blue Civic outside his own house. He walks over to look inside, and Ubaid knocks him out from behind. Elsewhere, another girl is abducted, and the police realize they can track her because she was carrying her mother's phone. Samuel wakes up inside the abandoned bus where the previous victims died. Ubaid admits he arranged the murders and controlled Reuben, then plays a video of Nyana carrying Malavika's body away. Samuel cannot make sense of it, so Ubaid plays another clip. A girl with Nyana's exact face who is not Nyana at all. It is her twin sister Navya, the one everyone believes is dead. Ubaid intends to frame Nyana for every murder as revenge on Rithika, who pinned the Burma colony killings on him and destroyed his family. Samuel breaks free and they fight. And he ends up with a hand around Ubaid's throat. Half choking, Ubaid delivers one more twist. Killing him is pointless, because the real killer is still far beyond Samuel's reach. Before that lands, a gunshot. An unknown man shoots Samuel and speeds off in the blue Civic. Bleeding, Samuel finds keys still in the van and goes after him. At the same time, police are following the GPS signal from the abducted girl's phone, and it leads them straight to Samuel's van. They force him to stop, open it up, and find the girl's body inside. As far as they are concerned, they have caught the serial killer. Samuel realizes he has been set up and escapes before they can arrest him. Samuel goes into hiding and starts putting the clues together. Xavier finds him and says he has secured anticipatory bail. Then Abdul calls Rithika to his house, where she finds Samuel and Xavier waiting. They show her the video of Nyana disposing of a body, tell her Navya is alive, and lay out everything they have. Samuel traces Navya through Ubaid's phone and puts a rescue together. Rithika and Xavier go after her, while Samuel picks up Dr. Alphonse, saying he needs the doctor's help to catch the killer. On the drive, Samuel starts talking about the adult body pulled out of the reservoir alongside the Burma colony victims. There were 2 different types of soil on the remains, which means the body was buried somewhere else first and moved later. One sample contained a rare oil residue produced by a single factory, so the original grave had to be near it, and the killer had to have lived in that area. Samuel hands over a list of everyone living there and says one of these names belongs to the killer. The name he has marked belongs to the man sitting right beside him, Dr. Alphonse. The boy in the slaughterhouse, the jars, the father, the rope, all of it was Alphonse. After strangling his father, he buried him behind the house, then dug him up later to avoid being caught, and that is the body Samuel found in the reservoir. Alphonse tells him the rest himself. After the murder, he lived an ordinary life and devoted himself to a wife he loved. When she died, everything he had left went to his only son, Naveen. Then came a terminal cancer diagnosis, and between his father's abuse, his wife's death, and the fear of losing his boy, whatever he had been holding down came loose. He started killing children to vent the rage he had bottled up his entire life. At first, he dumped bodies in the wilderness. Later, he built a hidden room in his own house and killed them there. In between, he played the warm and attentive father, determined to give Naveen the childhood he never had. While Rithika was closing in with a series of raids, Alphonse needed to dump a body fast, so he hid it in Ubaid's school van. Naveen saw him do it, and once Ubaid's arrest hit the news, the boy understood exactly what his father was. He said nothing. A few days later, doctors told Alphonse his cancer could be cured with a bone marrow transplant. Around the same time, Naveen found the secret room on the terrace and the body inside it. He turned to run and came face to face with his father, then stepped back in fear, lost his balance, and fell from the terrace. Naveen's death broke whatever was left of him. Alphonse buried his son alongside his victims and decided Rithika was to blame for everything. So he went to an amusement park, got close to her family, and took Navya. He locked her in his basement, then murdered another girl purely to prove Rithika wrong. He planned to kill Navya too, until he crossed paths with Reuben and saw the perfect scapegoat. From there, he built the whole scheme, manipulating Reuben and Ubaid and aiming all of it at Nyana. Alphonse finishes his confession and calmly tells Samuel that Navya will never be found. Out in the forest, Rithika and Xavier are searching with nothing to show for it, until Xavier puts a drone in the air and it picks up a hidden underground bunker. They force open the locked cell and pull Navia out alive. Alphonse stays confident right up until Samuel gets the message confirming the rescue. Even then, he points out there is still no evidence against him. He gave a DNA sample like everyone else, and it did not match. That is exactly where Samuel closes the trap. Bone marrow transplant patients can carry 2 different sets of DNA, which is how Alphonse walked through the screening untouched. Samuel reanalyzed his sample, and this time it matched the DNA from the Burma colony case perfectly. Cornered, Alphonse attacks him inside the moving car. They fight for the wheel, and Samuel makes a decision, driving straight into a crane. The car flips through the air. Alphonse is thrown out and dies on the road, while Samuel survives thanks to his seatbelt and the airbags. Rithika and Xavier find their way back to each other, and the family ends up filming a cooking vlog together. Samuel gets questioned about the crash and talks his way clear without breaking a sweat. His senior officer is impressed enough that when a new unsolved case lands on Rithika's desk, she asks for one person by name, Samuel. The story closes with one mystery solved and the next one already waiting. So the moral of the story is, always wear your seatbelt, because apparently it can save you from serial killers, family drama, and an airborne car crash.